Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this reading I'm going to be looking at what changes are potentially on the horizon in this connection. There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Rhodonite. Group 2 is the clear Quartz. And group 3 is the Dalmation Jasper. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Rhodonite. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to see what changes are potentially on the horizon in this connection. Any developments, any news coming in, any kind of shifts that might be in the near future. Okay, so we've got the Page of Cups, the Moon, Knight of Swords, Queen of Cups, Three of Wands, Nine of Swords, King Arthur, authority, justice, power, leadership, and the Maiden, innocence, love, past. So this is definitely suggesting that somebody you've been in a no contact situation with is thinking about taking some steps towards you with this idea of the Three of Wands, crossing some kind of a distance, maybe a geographic distance, perhaps making some kind of communication with the Knight of Swords coming in very quickly. This can talk about a text or an email that could be incoming for you in the near future. I'm also really drawn to this moon here. So this can talk about kind of with the Page of Cups, this can be some kind of a love offer, an offer of reconciliation, an expression of some kind of an apology that might be owed, something that's been hidden, something that's been kind of beneath the surface, someone that's really been putting on kind of a front or an exterior. This King Arthur is kind of reminding me of the Emperor. So pride and ego may have really been an issue for a period of time. And this is indicating a softening stance, a lot of anxiety that they have been in, with this Nine of Swords here, a lot of sleepless nights, ruminating over what it is that they want to say to you, knowing that change is necessary, feeling this call, feeling this pull, feeling this urge to invest more deeply in the connection with this transition of the Page of Cups to the Queen of Cups, an offer that has growth potential. So not just coming in with a hi, how's it going? But if they start off with hi, how's it going? Then they already have planned in their mind kind of the subsequent conversations from there, depending on how you respond to them. They may be a bit hesitant because they are anticipating you being kind of guarded with this Knight of Swords. Maybe they are kind of anticipating a tongue lashing, that you're going to be a little bit skeptical about their motivations. It's going to take some time or some skillful maneuvering to kind of work their way back into your world, into your life. But with the moon here, it's a timeless reading. So whenever you come across these messages and they resonate with you, please take them as they are applicable. But at the time that I'm recording this on January 18th, we're right on the brink of the new moon in Aquarius, which happens on Saturday, which is January 21st. So this can be very real-time energy here. So maybe this weekend for some of you, or kind of on or around this, we're also right on the precipice of Lunar New Year, for the Chinese zodiac, entering into Year of the Rabbit, which is a very lucky year. It is a very fortuitous year, a very fecund year. So this can speak to, again, this momentum, somebody really taking a chance, feeling luck is on their side in very real-time, immediate kind of energy, to break the silence, to breach this divide, to come forward with this idea of the maiden, with this hope of renewal, with an innocence here, an interest in rebirth. This can even speak to a series of conversations, maybe that take place over the subsequent months that lead up to, the beginning of spring here in the Northern Hemisphere, which is on March 21st, so not that far around the corner. And this can really speak, kind of on the outside of this time frame here, anytime between kind of the next couple of days with that new moon and that kind of lunar new year, all the way to the maiden, which does speak to that spring equinox energy. So somebody who's in this planning stage, in this strategy stage, making their way towards you, or a simple conversation that gets started that has this growth potential, so that kind of in real time, building up to that like 6 weeks from now energy, roughly, when kind of the beginning of spring happens, where there's been this elevation, there has been this evolution in what they are directing towards you energetically, what they are making known, even kind of building up that courage, building up that nerve, fighting very successfully to kind of vanquish their own fear, pride, and ego that may be keeping them at a distance from you, or making them hesitant, or even if they're come forward and there still might be this tendency to kind of hold back, to be a little bit uncertain. If this is normally somebody that's a bit stoic and guarded, talking about their feelings it doesn't come naturally to them. This could be a very logically minded person. So stepping into this feeling space is new territory for them. It might be baby steps at kind of the beginning, a lot that's sort of hidden, kind of tiptoeing into this energy, the process of a journey needing to take place to build up that confidence. kind of what they are revealing, how deep they are leaning is all kind of predicated on your responses to that, how receptive you are. But this is the energy of swift communication and truth here with this Knight of Swords, wanting to cut through that lack of clarity, that kind of confusion or any illusions that were presented in the past, that there is anything less than love that they hold inside for you. It might be quite surprising, this person kind of re-emerging into your world with this fish kind of leaping out of the cup here, and it doesn't really look like it in this deck, but I think ordinarily it's meant to be interpreted as a salmon leaping out of the cup, so maybe a baby salmon. That again can talk about the idea of somebody who's really new into this area of kind of opening up from the heart space. But salmons are representative of wisdom, so this does speak to as much as they might feel like a novice in this regard of expressing this apology, opening up more about their feelings, about their true intentions and their desires, moving towards you in more of a softer energy, that this is something that they have thought about for a long time. This isn't the energy of impulsivity, although we have this fast-moving Knight of Swords here. This is something that they have thought about from afar for quite some time. It's taken time for kind of the seeds that were planted in the past to kind of sprout and germinate within them in terms of motivation, in terms of the ability to hatch a plan and really take the steps necessary to work up that courage, build up that nerve, or really defeat that pride and ego within themselves, to come into this very balanced energy of kind of the masculine and feminine polarities within self, so that what they come forth to present to you is again very kind of shocking and surprising, by way of what it is that they are revealing, or kind of this energy of innocence that they are coming towards you in, that might uncharacteristically be different from what you had known from them before. This can be a willingness on their part to talk about maybe difficult topics, things that in the past they may have had a tendency to kind of sweep under the rug, or kind of an emotional avoidance. This speaks to this evolution, or at least somebody who comes to you in this energy of openness and willingness to be shown the way, to be guided. They're coming forth in a very assertive energy, but yet there is also this element of surrender here, openness to kind of flow with this process, a willingness to close out some cycles that had kept the two of you stuck and kind of looping around, maybe even a particular kind of issue that was very difficult to get beyond, or a tendency within this person to kind of withdraw or remain emotionally avoidant, not giving fully into this connection. And this is really replaced by this willingness to grow and change, to lean deeper into love. If there had been kind of uncertainty or even a fear of commitment, this is somebody who comes forth in more of this mature energy, with an interest of kind of renewing the connection, seeing what can grow, seeing what can develop. So it might be, again, kind of very real-time energy in the next few days. Even if you're watching this outside of the scope of, the month of January 2023, this can even tie in again of that idea of within the next couple of days, right around that kind of real-time proximity of whenever you're watching this reading, that this person is either taking those initial steps towards you, or comes forth with something, breaks that ice, breaks that silence, brings forth something very simple. It's a start, but it's something which really has all these undertones that indicate they've thought about this. They've thought long and hard about this, and have realized that only they have the power to free themselves from this kind of anxiety, from this situation, from what has happened in the past between the two of you. This is coming forth in an energy of honesty, a desire to work on things, a willingness to work on things, to really face some untruths that happened in the past, or some avoidance and denial. This is also somebody who's really, facing the feelings very honestly that they hold inside for you, and for many of you are finally on that precipice of wanting to kind of lean into that vibration. Maybe not at first kind of opening up fully about that, but again, just kind of tiptoeing into this situation. But with this energy of evolution and flow, there's forward momentum there that, in the course of kind of a couple of weeks or a couple of months after that sort of initial touchstone point between the two of you, there's a lot of growth potential here if it's something that you want. And for those of you that would not be entertaining a fresh start with this person, this definitely can be kind of the energy of something that sort of ties the situation up once and for all. This is that closure that you have maybe even needed very subconsciously within yourself, as much as you've made efforts to move in another direction. That vindication is nonetheless well received, and it is appreciated. It may highlight for you some residual kind of anxiety, fears, a lot of kind of energetic dissonance that you've been holding through this situation. It allows you to step with innocence in the direction of a fresh start in love, in other manners, in other capacities. In some way, what this person presents dislodges maybe some stuck energy that you'd been holding inside. Clinging to that resentment, clinging to, what had happened in the past, or even clinging to maybe some kind of even like a fantasy or some kind of an illusion of how things would be when the two of you come back together. And because of all this growth and evolution that you have done in kind of the interim of a no contact or separation phase, this place of internal balance you've reached, that when this person returns to your life, you almost become then aware for some of you that what might have once been a situation of compatibility, you have in fact grown apart. That what once might have seemed as something you wanted more than anything is now something that simply, it's run its course. It has already reached a place of closure, and that in some way facing that very directly, not just creating that certainty within yourself, that resolution within yourself, but seeing this in the flesh, or in whatever kind of that dynamic is. If it's online communication, having that conversation, if it's talking over the phone, exchanging words with this person, hearing their voice, finding it doesn't do the same thing to you internally or at the soul level or the emotional level that it once did. It allows you to kind of close up this loose end, tie up these loose ends, and really move forward in the direction that your heart is calling you and your soul is calling you, something that is more in alignment with who you have discovered yourself to be and who you've really come into alignment with through the work that you've done to really heal and come to a place of acceptance over what has happened in this situation in the past. So in terms of signs, with the cups, we've got water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The moon is Pisces and Cancer. Swords is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And the wands is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So I'm going to get a few messages from this person's higher self for you now and see what do they want to tell you. Okay, and they say you are a diamond of immense strength and beauty. So they may be admiring you from afar, watching you from afar, literally with that Three of Wands there, at the very least energetically sensing into the shift and change within you, perhaps this place of balance that you have worked very hard and have come to very successfully within yourself, which in some way may have triggered or motivated this person to kind of pick up the pace as far as coming to this place of decision. It has motivated them through a very unconscious pull to reach out, to move in your direction, to knock on that door and see, is it still possible to kind of remedy this situation? Is there still hope remaining here? Or is kind of that time passed between the two of you? They're also really seeing that in the time that has passed, maybe this has been a distance of time, years that have gone by, or even decades for some of you. This can be something where you still really take their breath away. You still really captivate them. That age has only really enhanced the qualities of your soul and of your beauty. It's something that they may not have really been able to recognize or appreciate before, but there's something about you and kind of the way life has shaped you that is really drawing them in. It is motivating them to, at least take a chance in this situation. It feels like if they don't shoot their shot now or in the near future, if they kind of let this sort of opportunity pass them by, then this is something that will continue to weigh heavily upon them, that this is something they've not been able to successfully forget you or this connection. And it's almost like they have to give it one more chance, one more opportunity to see if maybe this time around the stars have aligned and it is time for the two of you to really meet in the middle somewhere, that perhaps this time the circumstances will be right for your energies to balance, for you two to connect and to move forward in a very successful connection. And they also say, I feel so much beauty, harmony, sweetness, and shelter between us. So again, they are very drawn towards you, magnetized towards you. If they have dated other people, or even if they've remained single and have just sort of taken this time, as we saw with the salmon there in the cup on the Page of Cups, to really contemplate maybe their romantic history, partners that they've had in the past, or again, real-time kind of experiences with others that they've dated since you. It feels like, again, with this idea of kind of balance between King Arthur and the Maiden, that they are starting to really recognize how you stand apart from the rest, that there's something about the way that the two of you connect on even a soul level, on an energetic level, that almost defies explanation. If this had been something that was very overwhelming to this person in the past, they had kind of needed time to kind of figure things out, it almost feels that they are surrendering to the not knowing, that they can't allow more time to go by without, just moving into that place of acceptance. Knocking on that door, seeing what the two of you might be able to build with one another moving forward, even if they don't have all the answers. It feels that they've crossed some kind of a threshold of denial, or again, needing to have all of those answers, overly logically kind of processing the connection, and they're leaning more into that place of surrender and flow. They also say, you turn loose heaven within me. So this person has definitely been activated by this connection. A lot of ascension might have taken place in the time since you've been apart, a lot of growth, a lot of evolution, a lot of introspection. They have thought long and hard about what has transpired between the two of you, comparing and contrasting that to other partners they've had since you, or people they were dating even before you. And it is that kind of introspection and that contemplation that has led to that energy of wisdom, so that what they come forth with is not an impulsive offer of reconciliation, or kind of vying for your friendship once again, seeing if the two of you can start very simply and small and kind of build and develop from there. This is something where they've been profoundly changed by the connection, even if they have put up kind of this front or facade of being very unbothered, having moved in another direction. You have made an impact upon the internal landscape of this person. And they may be very adept at kind of putting up a stone wall, putting up a stone face. Somebody who, again, for a while, it seems like was very disconnected from their emotional body, with kind of the distance between these two cups cards here. And so it's almost the advantage of their shadow side in that sense, working in this situation, to where they've been able to some degree to kind of maintain, go through the motions, present one kind of face to the world, while inside there was this whole other process of becoming that was taking place. And it feels like this step forward may be kind of the beginning, that threshold of actualizing this change which has occurred in the material world. And they also say, please forgive me. So that can tie into that element of an apology that they may be delivering to you, or are, at the minimum, are in the kind of contemplation stages of. If they've been thinking about this for a while, if they've been ruminating on all of this for a while, it feels like somebody who's starting to come up with a strategy, with a plan, again, feeling the urgency, time being of the essence, perhaps even a level of their own sort of internal growth and ascension where they have really plateaued with that. In order to continue on this process, it requires coming out of almost that cave of solitude, that cave of introspection, bringing that forth in some manner, and seeing kind of what can develop and grow between the two of you, or in some way serving to kind of release the two of you from the difficulties difficulties that occurred in the past, the uncertainty, any sort of energetic heaviness as kind of a component or a layer of their own sort of personal ascension journey. By freeing you from any confusion, by providing answers, by opening up to having these discussions, they in essence free themselves as well. And they also say, I'm not ready to settle down. So that could tie into that aspect of needing to take some baby steps, wade in very slowly to this. This isn't somebody who's going to rush forward with all of these promises of love. This is someone who I feel is going to take things very cautiously, very slowly, test the waters in this circumstance. You may be able to pick up kind of an intense energy from them. But again, they feel like somebody who's very much an adept at kind of presenting one face and having a whole other internal landscape happening on the inside. Somebody who really hides their emotions very well, hides their kind of true feelings very well if they so choose. And so you might, based on kind of this dynamic and the energetic bond between the two of you, be able to sort of see beneath that surface. That feels like part of that harmony and sweetness and shelter they have felt. Despite the facade, you've really touched them on that core level. You've seen beyond the masks in a way that nobody has been really able to do before. But nevertheless, this is something where they're needing to take it slow. They're needing to take it very kind of deliberately. In some way, it's moving out into unfamiliar waters, into unfamiliar territory. And so patience definitely being, a crucial aspect of this. If you choose to entertain this person, if they make that approach to you, just understanding that this isn't going to be overnight development. It's going to take, this kind of slow and steady progress, a progression though, a very natural evolution of the situation. Once that kind of initial point of contact is made, it does have a lot of growth potential toward full disclosure or a more profound level of emotional disclosure and vulnerability than they had demonstrated in the past. And they also say, are you in love with me or my potential? So this can really tie into that idea of somebody who puts on fronts, puts on masks, and yet you've seen beneath all of that. They're still struggling on some level to achieve that kind of balance and mastery within self. They may still be operating out of some of that fear-based energy, that shadowy energy, that energy of anxiety and panic that could be causing them to almost dawdle a little bit as far as coming towards you, to procrastinate. It definitely feels to add into this element of a little bit of holding back when and if they approach. They're struggling to almost see in themselves the love that they see reflected in your eyes towards them. But there is growth potential here. It is something where they've crossed some kind of a major corner with all of this, and it just may take some time to kind of develop into this further. If it's something that you choose not to explore, then even this kind of very basic element of what they provide to you, it feels like starts a cycle into motion within yourself, where you're then faced with the choice of choosing to kind of go down this road with this person again, or perhaps choosing yourself this time around. And if the choice of self is made, this is also something where then you lead into this aspect of self-liberation in a manner. You come to understand more deeply what that idea of self-love feels like, what that means, what that looks like in a more broad sense than you have been practicing and have been familiar with up to this point in time. A lot of growth potential in this situation, both for each of you at the individual level, and also in what is possible between the two of you, if that's an offer, an opportunity you choose to entertain when and if this person comes forward. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit now about the situation. Okay, and we've got retreat. Spoil yourself in the morning mist. Breathe in nature's sweet scents. So this can really tie into this idea of receptivity, of not pushing for this, not chasing this person, but just remaining in your current kind of orbit or energy, that you are already in a process of magnetizing them in. And it may be something that you are almost energetically aware of that, kind of as a prelude to their somewhat imminent 3D arrival in your life, or kind of their return to your life. And so the important thing to really acknowledge here is that you've come to this crossroads, or that this road is kind of being opened for the two of you, precisely because of the work each of you has been doing within yourselves. If this was kind of a runner-chaser dynamic in the past, maybe you were the chaser, this person was sort of running or fleeing from the connection, and you disconnected from that at a certain point. You liberated yourself and this person. It has worked very effectively to allow each of you the time to, again, step into that greater energy of self-love, and to really make some substantial steps and strides on that journey toward inner balance and harmony with the King Arthur and the Maiden. So the important thing is to not kind of fall back into old patterns of feeling that anticipation and maybe resuming that energy of the chaser. Allow this person to chase you. This doesn't mean that you necessarily need to run from them, but definitely, keep at the forefront of your mind what you've been through, what it has taken to come to this place vibrationally and within your life. Certain standards that you may have held this person to in the past, you may have raised the bar in that. You're expecting more out of yourself, and therefore almost demanding a different type of energy to be directed to you at this point in time. Holding fast to that above and beyond all else. Not dimming your light to kind of make this person feel more comfortable, especially if you're detecting a bit of nervousness and anxiety within them. Holding the line, holding that high vibration within you can really be that sort of signpost, that motivation for this person to kind of work through this very juvenile energy here, and kind of evolve, continue to take those baby steps forward, continue to kind of come out of this shadowy energy, to reveal more and more, to step more into that energy of truth and consistency, so that the potential of what might unfold between the two of you, beyond even this initial kind of point of contact or reconnection, has kind of the optimal sort of probability of developing or growing. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got M, T, S. Actually, let me move these down here. The glare from that light, I don't think you could really see the tiles. Okay, I think that's better. We've got G, Q, J, W, and N. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that channel, as well as in the featured channel section of my page. The format over there is a little different from here. I do pick-a-card readings as well as general energy check-ins, and the topics that I cover are about spirituality, ascension, self-love, and wellness. So if that sounds interesting or intriguing, I invite you to check that channel out, and I thank you for your support in helping my new channel to grow, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the clear quartz. So I'm going to start with tarot and oracle cards to see what changes are possibly on the horizon in this connection. Is there any movement forecasted, communication, any changes, or more of just the same? Okay, so we've got the Seven of Cups, the Ten of Wands, the Four of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the Sun, the Lovers, Merlin, magic, alchemy, equilibrium, perception, and the White Stag, shape-shifting, support, other world. So with this Lovers card, I was hearing happy reunion. So this is definitely somebody who is planning some kind of an approach. A choice has been made to take action in this connection, to let go of some burdens, some feelings they've been holding within, maybe some regret and sorrow over the way things transpired in the past between the two of you. This can also tie into a bit of denial that they had been in about kind of the nature of the partnership. With this Lovers card, this can speak about soulmates. Four of Wands, that 1111 card, this can often be looked at as the twin flame card. So somebody who may have come to this realization finally has made the choice to open their eyes and to explore these concepts further, or even if they're not familiar with kind of those terminologies or labels, they are at a point of admitting fully and accepting fully within themselves, most importantly, the very unique connection between the two of you, this very magnetic bond between the two of you. With the Sun card here and these two people kind of looking at each other. This again is that energy of the counterparts here, a desire for a fresh start and for a new beginning, to kind of bring these feelings that have been held within, this burden that has been held within, out into the light. The Sun speaks of illumination as well, so this can tie into some truths that have come to them, maybe in the form of signs and synchronicities that they've been getting. Angel numbers 1111, maybe some things coming through in dreams or even downloads that have happened that at this point in time are undeniable. There's no more ignoring these things. And this person has actively made a choice within themselves to look and to explore these things in a more open manner than they had in the past. This is someone who, if they had been overwhelmed by the intensity of the connection, this draw towards you, maybe someone who was very overwhelmed by this deep kind of magnetic attraction towards you that may in the past have felt very disempowering for them. The nature of this, the energies between the two of you, or these feelings that were really rising up from within them. This might have been outside of the scope of what they had known of love before. The kind of intensity and nature of that magnetism might have really stirred up fears from within them, of in some way being kind of enslaved to these feelings, being really at kind of the mercy of these feelings, in some way needing to kind of relinquish their power, rather than seeing how the two of you had the potential to grow grow in love. They may have felt very challenged by this, and almost feared that their autonomy or individuality would be swallowed up by the nature of the connection. This is somebody who, with the idea of shape-shifting and this stag energy, this very kind of ascended energy with these antlers and kind of that crown chakra, speaks to that, again, those kind of divine antenna right there, that they've gotten those downloads. They're in concert with their higher self, and have shifted the view of how they are perceiving this connection. This is somebody who's now open to the magic of the connection, open to seeing what can the ashes that exist between the two of you at this point, what can these things be transformed into? Is it possible to regenerate this? Is it possible to move forward from everything that has happened in the past? This feels like someone who's kind of at this crossroads point, a lot of possible scenarios that they are kind of running over in their mind at this point in time, how to move forward, how to, really kind of speak that truth, what to say, what to do, wanting to kind of plan that proper approach. The sun is the energy of Leo, and we do have a full moon in Leo coming up on February 5th. And this is a timeless reading, so whenever you find this reading and the messages resonate with you, just take them as they resonate. But if you're watching this on or around the time that I've recorded this on January 18th, 2023, that full moon in Leo is, again, happening on February 5th in a couple of weeks. So this can really speak to, also with this Wands energy, this fast approaching energy, somebody who on or around that full moon in Leo may get that kind of courage, that oomph that they need to kind of propel forward, to move past any kind of lingering barriers, to kind of drop those burdens, and to progress forward, to open their heart fully to what is possible. And to, no longer allow themselves to be kind of held back in the past by the decisions that had happened. This Merlin energy really gives me kind of the vibes of the hermit, this wisdom that has happened, maybe a lot of time that has passed between the two of you. This person has aged. This person is seasoned in some way. They may have taken on other kinds of spiritual knowledge, other sorts of exploration, the signs and synchronicities that have really come to them, maybe even things that have been activated within them through this very kind of fiery connection between you. This has caused them to kind of go within and to explore. They have gone through this personal process of alchemy and transformation, at least on kind of the internal level as far as their perspective. And it again speaks to the idea of the hermit, that wisdom, with the owl there as well on his shoulder, representative of that wisdom that they have gained internally in that perspective, in kind of that mental space and how they're perceiving the situation. And this is the hermit getting ready to emerge from that cave, to bring forth that wisdom, to really lean into and start to participate, or at least explore the possibility of how to fully participate at this point. What's left, what can be revived, what can be resurrected in this situation of what I'm hearing is a holy connection. So they are starting to appreciate on some level the divinity of this, starting to appreciate that it's no accident the two of you have come into one another's lives. Someone, again, who is running from this connection now in many different forms and capacities, is thinking about this energy of union and reunion, recognizing, that what they were really fearing in the past out of this connection was an energetic intensity that in some way has stabilized within them. They have acclimated in this. As much as they may have run, this energy followed them. It remained with them. It has been a process and a struggle for this person to come to terms with that, to grow and evolve with that. But they are stepping more and have stepped more into this place of confidence and knowing, to be able to bring something forth to you that is maybe a higher level of communication than they had been capable of generating in the past. Again, their spiritual knowledge may have been profoundly developed in some manner. They may have gone through evolutions in terms of their life and priorities as well. So what they are able to present to you is it's an energy that both kind of inwardly and outwardly reflects this kind of change and evolution within this person. This feels like something where if it had been in kind of an element of imbalance before, the two of you really being activated by this, each of you handling things in a very different way. You may be, leaning into that exploration, this person running from the connection, trying to kind of avoid that, and nevertheless it followed them. you're now both in this compatible energy of balance. You come into this balanced state, and it really opens up the possibility and potential of how this situation, again, that energetic kind of bond between the two of you, what has happened in the past, who you have both become or have come to know yourself as, because of, through, and despite the connection and the interactions with one another, and kind of that residual energy that has remained constant through any kind of separation or distance or cycles of running and chasing. All of that has really come into a balance within each of you, in an equal and kind of varying degree, to where this sort of energy of reunion or sort of moving back in one another's direction, it has a lot of the makings of, not even so much repeating the same cycles, but it really has a lot of potential here to develop and grow into something which provides more answers, where in the past you might have been left with a lot of questions. Even if this person isn't necessarily fully ready to commit in a long-term sense, what they present to you, how they touch upon you energetically, and even in the 3D world in terms of what they're talking about, their willingness to kind of work with you, kind of maneuver in kind of the bounds and the boundlessness of this connection. It's something that in a way represents evolution. It provides a lot of closure, clarity, or even an open possibility, an opening of new potential for the two of you, and what can then develop beyond that kind of point of contact of this person, again, in kind of very sort of fast approaching energy, wanting to come in very quickly towards you, to at least kind of minimize that distance that exists between you in the physical realm, to really, lean into that energetic bond, following the signs back in your direction, following this very unconscious pull as they are magnetized towards you, wanting to explore this in a more direct manner, so that, this feeling of kind of forever with you, this bondedness, this kinship, this soulmate energy, this twin flame energy, so that the two of you have this potential to kind of touch on that now in a different manner, because each of you is very different through this experience. And what might not have worked or had been too intense or kind of lopsided before, there's a lot that speaks here to this person's feeling that this time around it just might work, and they are motivated enough here with all of this wands energy and this fiery energy, to make a move forward, to at least try and explore and kind of check in more directly and see what's possible. Do the feelings still exist between the two of you? Are these seeds of love still viable, and what can grow from them? So in terms of signs, with the cups, we've got water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. The wands is fire, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The sun is Leo, and the lovers is Gemini. So I'm going to get a few messages from this person's higher self and see what do they want to tell you right now. Okay, and they say, I am learning to open my heart. So this can really talk about that degree of overwhelm, the intensity of this connection. You may have made a choice in the past to lean into this and explore this. This person maybe made the choice to run from that. And it almost feels that the two of you are coming back together in order to almost switch roles in this capacity. That there's something this person is needing to explore more directly to lean into this. Perhaps the runner becomes the chaser for a period of time. There may be something with this as well, where you're needing to kind of touch upon this person's energy in a more tactile manner, in order to kind of retreat within yourself, go into another kind of phase of hermit mode in some way. The closer the two of you lean in with one another, the more intense this energetic bond becomes, for kind of a larger purpose of clearing out some residual blocks and kind of that heart chakra, that green energy here, that kind of helps each of you sort of further develop along your personal ascension journey, outside of the parameters of this connection, but kind of that larger purpose of why this magnetic and intense chemical reaction almost has occurred between the two of you, that it feels to have to do with a lot more than just romance. There's a lot of indicators of ascension here, this idea of alchemy and transmutation and shape-shifting, growth and evolution at the soul level, kind of being one of the major themes of this situation. With romance, of course, being a factor as well, the idea of love and partnership and marriage and the lovers, and even these two people here on the sun, this energy of joy and kind of happy union together, these being kind of ingredients or elements of this connection, but there being a lot more at stake than just happily ever after in this situation. And they also say, I know I keep giving you mixed signals. I know I can be hot and cold. So the intensity of this connection still may be a factor for this person. They may not be fully ready to commit to you when they return, but they are being magnetized into closer proximity. They have learned all they can from this period of distance. And again, with this idea almost of the hermit emerging from their cave with this wisdom, with this kind of perspective that they have gained, harnessing the energy that exists between the two of you in a more profound way, harnessing some personal power within themselves that has been unlocked through this experience. This is somebody who is very growth-minded at this point in time. A lot of evolution that has taken place within them and will continue to kind of grow and develop. Everybody's always a work in progress, especially when it comes to kind of the healing journey or the ascension journey. It's never something that ends. It goes through kind of layers and phases. And it feels like there's something very important about the two of you kind of moving into closer proximity with one another. Again, this deeper kind of energetic exchange that may be then kind of part and parcel to the two of you kind of going your separate ways once again. Perhaps those roles being reversed. You're the one that kind of retreats from this. You're the one that kind of turns down this offer in order to, go deeper into introspecting within yourself, in order to kind of clear or address or be reminded of some blocks you may still need to work on within your own heart space and within this situation. And also so this person can almost get that perspective. They can see things from your angle by experiencing that in real time, directly and personally. And they also say maybe we are better off separated. So that again ties into the idea of a lot of internal work that still needs to be done in both of you, and that this journey really has to do with a lot more than just happily ever after, romance, love, and partnership, that there's something at the deep soul level, something at the energetic level that has been stirred and awakened within each of you. And it's something where it almost feels the changes that have happened, this person almost can't get enough of it. They're very excited about this. They're very excited about what they're learning as they have kind of moved out of a place of fighting this energy and this connection and maybe being in a lot of denial or kind of holding back that sort of realization or that truth despite all the signs they've been getting that this is something very unique, this is something very otherworldly, that this is something very divine, divinely orchestrated, that they are starting to acknowledge again, also those deeper layers, that it's about more than love and partnership. It's about more than romance. There's a lot of personal transformation that has taken place and is taking place. And it feels like something that this person is really starting to prioritize, perhaps for the first time in their life, that soul growth, that ascension, someone who's become very kind of aware of their surroundings, aware of the company they're keeping, very mindful of their thoughts. They may be actively kind of practicing law of attraction and manifestation. This is really, it feels like their prime objective at this point, their primary goal at this sort of stage in their journey. And yet they are drawn toward you. They are compelled. There's a curiosity here, needing to know more, needing to kind of touch upon your energy in order to almost go back and kind of have something to compare their kind of feeling, their intuition, information, research that they've done, knowledge that they have, needing to experience kind of in the material sense, does this add up to what I think it is? So a period of maybe coming together, dealing with each other for maybe a brief period of time. It's almost bringing up the idea of like a summertime romance before the two of you kind of then go back into your separate corners to do some deeper healing or some deeper processing as far as this situation and the vibrations which are being unlocked within each of you are concerned. And they also say, I believe you. So if you had suggested to this person in the past that they were your twin flame or your soulmate, or this was a divine connection or a past life connection, and they may have really denied that, or it was just outside of their kind of wheelhouse of understanding, it was not something they were open to, this really indicates that shift, the idea again of shape shifting. They have changed their mind in some way. Their perspective has opened. They are now seeing things as you see them. What had been kind of obscured or was just they were deliberately in denial of in the past about the nature of this situation. This is now, they're leaning more into that truth and reality and possibility than they were in the past. And they also say, you are healing my soul, but it is a work in progress. So again, that idea of healing being in layers, that when this person comes towards you, this change that may be on the horizon for the both of you, it may be almost, relatively speaking, kind of a temporary interaction with one another, a very deep exchange, going even deeper energetically with one another and vibrationally than you had previously, or up to this point, and then having to kind of go into your separate corners to process all of this, to really digest and absorb what has taken place on the subtle realms as the two of you are kind of nearer to each other in proximity. You come back into one another's orbit. This person taking a different approach, a more proactive approach than they had even in the past. There will need to be time for everybody to just kind of come to terms with that, come to a deeper understanding of what that means, and then for each of you, and then what it means going forward as well. And they also say, I would just hurt you more right now. I need to be alone. So that is that hermit energy that we saw with the Merlin card. And again, speaks to this period of deep introspection, a lot of healing work, a lot of shadow work that still remains, more clearing in the heart chakra. Again, the healing journey is never finished. And so it's something where they might not be ready to commit to you forever, till death do us part, or, beyond the infinite lifetimes do we part and kind of reunite with one another, or whatever your perspective is on that, but it's something where they are needing to come back in your direction. They're needing to touch upon this energy more directly, almost to be able to get kind of confirmation or proof in a more direct manner that the signs they've been getting are valid, that what they've discovered, what they're kind of leaning into, what their intuition is telling them, what they're even just feeling and is being suggested on a subtle level, that this is real and trustworthy and worth exploring. But it's going to take time then for them to go back and process. You're going to need time as well to go back and process. It feels like the two of you almost kind of climbing these staircases, these parallel staircases, where you're coming back together, kind of exchanging energy in a more direct manner, or at least nearing this proximity to one another, only to kind of go back and sort of do this individuated work, and to come back together and kind of blend a little more deeply than you had in the past, and then take that back, dig into your own kind of subconscious, your own kind of core wounds, your own sort of soul wounds, generational wounds, residue that exists within the psyche from other romantic experiences from childhood, all of that just kind of baggage and garbage that we carry along very unconsciously with us, that this connection facilitates that deep healing, that deep, it's almost this light and intensity that illuminates the way into what no longer serves. It helps to kind of recharge the etheric battery so that those deep dives can take place, so that there's stamina to kind of continue along this road and along this journey. Again, this connection having to do with so much more than just love and partnership, but that definitely being an element that is kind of, it's on that horizon. It's a possibility for the two of you in a long-term sense, but it feels like there's still these deeper layers of kind of ascension and growth that are needing to take place individually before kind of that final stage of the union with one another is possible. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit now about the situation. Okay, we have woods. Be like the woods, calm, soothing, mysterious, and full of life. So this really does speak to a lot of diversity in what is possible, a lot of possible scenarios that may be the end result in this connection. This is a multi-layered, multifaceted connection. Rather than just being too linear in your thinking as far as timeline, as far as the purpose of the connection, the outcome, what it's intended for, how things will go, you're really being encouraged to step into this element of curiosity, looking for the deeper meaning, the intricate meaning, that may be hard to decipher meaning behind this encounter, this experience with this person in this lifetime. Using this time wisely and these kind of energetic connections, these points where you're coming closer with one another and then just kind of bouncing off one another, doing this deep introspective work on your own kind of path and in your own sort of vibrations and what you kind of have in your own psyche and your own experience. Being very, very much in a state of flow with that, understanding this energetic exchange. It again is that light. It's the illumination. It's like the flashlight that helps you, look into the unexpected areas. It helps you look beneath the kind of the floor or the carpet of what on the surface appears to be kind of the series of wounds or archetypes you've been dealing with, the nature of the dynamic. There's a lot more beneath that kind of that layer, that surface layer, the surface appearance, shadow work that you've done up to this point in time. There's still so much more to be uncovered. There's so much more to be kind of categorized and made sense of. Really taking your time to enjoy this, to enjoy the magic of this connection, this wonder, this otherworldliness, but also understanding that the path forward, it is not set in this situation. There's many different possible scenarios that could unfold. So being very present in that, staying very curious and open, and in this energy of trust that whatever you're confronted with in this situation, you do have the ability to in time really understand, overcome kind of that fear, that uncertainty, with knowledge, or even just with a sense of certainty within the soul that renders moot kind of the need to know, to move into that space of flow where you are just kind of accepting of kind of the ebbs and the flows of this situation, opening up to this growth potential, not just in terms of what's possible romantically between the two of you, but really the larger elements and kind of themes of soul growth that this connection offers to each of you, and that really is kind of the larger purpose of this connection, can help you to maximize the potential of what is offered in this situation now and in the future. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got Z, S, J, B, G, D, and N. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that channel, as well as in the featured channel section of my page. The format over there is a little different from here. I do pick a cards as well as general energy check-ins, and the topics that I cover are about ascension, spirituality, wellness, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check out my other channel, and I thank you for your support in helping that channel to grow, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Dalmation Jasper. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to see what changes are potentially on the horizon in this connection. Is there going to be movement, communication, just kind of more of the same? Okay, we've got Queen of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles, Two of Cups, Five of Cups, the Hanged Man, Nine of Wands, Morgan Le Fay, Fate, Intuition, Prophecy, Magic, and Standing Stones, Ancestors, Gateways, Sacred. So with this Two of Cups and the Five of Cups, I was hearing speak now or forever hold your peace, as well as till death do us part. So definite marriage vibes, this idea of union that is on this person's mind. They may have come to some truth and clarity. They're seeing you in the situation differently and from fresh eyes. Some overlooked potential in the past, again, of kind of the long-term qualities and aspects, and the very real possibility that the two of you could build a very satisfying life with one another. That may have been something they were kind of in denial of in the past. They weren't really seeing that or recognizing that. They were looking at the situation from the wrong angle. This has now become apparent to them in a different way. There's motivation here. There's this direct energy, wanting to direct currents into that realm of kind of solidifying the energy of union with you, the energy of a firm foundation with you, wanting to bring forth some kind of a communication that expresses more deeply their intention towards this, feelings that they may have denied in the past. They may have rejected the cup of love you had to offer. A lot of that still being something that might be holding them back at this point in time, with this focus here on this Three of Cups, not really recognizing the Two Cups, that potential, that, that union, that at the soul level that still exists. I'm hearing the red thread of fate, so this cord that kind of binds the two of you at the soul level, that this is still very viable. But this person is really struggling to see that. They're struggling to almost detach themselves from what has taken place in the past, from the way their maybe harsh words or criticism, or the ways in which they judged or overlooked you, have created this kind of stony energy in this situation. This can talk about being blocked, being very guarded, being still just very kind of shut down in the heart space, a fear that it may be their fate or their destiny at this point in time. To watch somebody else kind of see all that potential within you and kind of act upon that, to participate with this. So somebody who feels motivated to come towards you, they have this level of certainty. They almost feel that they really are almost punishing themselves at this point in time by choosing to remain at a distance. There is this level of certainty and yet fear that holds them back. The idea with the wounded warrior here in this Nine of Pentacles is this battle within, a lot of fears that they are still fighting, a lot of that uncertainty, this indecision. Is it too late? Is it just their fate to kind of watch you fall into the arms of another? or to become somebody else's blessing, that it has taken them a very long time to come to this point of being able to recognize and truly admit the long-term quality and potential within this connection in the past, something that was overlooked previously. But as far as taking action steps, creating movement, bringing forth something that is solid and stable, that actually gets this wheel turning in a more kind of prosperous direction between the two of you, that is a very different picture. That's a very different scenario. We do have the wheel here in the background of this card, this standing stones, which definitely obviously talks about the wheel of fortune, this idea of forward momentum, luck being on their side, fate in a very positive manner. But it is obscured by this stone here. Still a lot of blocks that they are dealing with in the heart space. And this is almost not having a guarantee of what the result will be. And so feeling safer in kind of the energy of the silence at this point in time, rather than risk making matters worse, or kind of disturbing some illusion, some realization that they have come to, ways in which they may be almost pedestalizing you, or kind of fantasizing about all the potential and kind of this idea of happily ever after. If this is something where you at one time had been heavily invested in that energy of almost fetishizing this person, really pedestalizing them, and focused very much on what could have been, what should have been between the two of you. This idea of happily ever after, rather than putting your full focus on kind of the larger themes at play here, or things that maybe were blocks to the actualization of this kind of goal or dream within yourself, rather than kind of doing that inner work, being very fixated. It feels that this person is now in that position. They're very much fixated at this point in time, and not able to really recognize the way forward, not being able to recognize that the way kind of it exists beyond the energy of release, beyond the energy of kind of putting all their attention at what went wrong in the past, or what has gone wrong in other kind of romances of their life. A lot of comparison that may be happening at this point in time. Of kind of other things that have gone awry in their romantic past. And so kind of by this point of comparison, all of this wonderful potential that existed between the two of you, that they in some way sabotaged or sacrificed this, a feeling of unworthiness, that this gift provided to them by the universe was handled so carelessly, that there have been so many hurt emotions, so much confusion, so much sorrow, so many tears that were cried, that it's almost a feeling of unworthiness, that they've put you through too much, and that it's almost their fate is to now just kind of stand and dwell in this realization of what they had at one point in time, but were careless with, or did not take full advantage of, for the highest good of the two of you. It feels that, these blockages, their higher self, their ancestors, their spirit guides, the universe is really trying to get this person to work through these things, trying to just kind of take this step in the right direction. These are not insurmountable obstacles, but it's something that is really the focus for this individual at this point in time. So in terms of what changes might be happening, this actually might just be, it feels like with the Hanged Man, more of the same in terms of, you may feel this person pulling on you energetically. There could be a lot of telepathy that's occurring, a lot in the dream space. It's a very passive energy in terms of physical forward momentum. It's a lot of guardedness. It's a lot of fear-based energy as well, that again is kind of keeping them almost, it's the idea here with this little hand on this stone, it's kind of keeping them, you can imagine almost somebody hiding behind these rocks. This is somebody who's not yet ready to come out of hiding. This hand here being over this little petroglyph, or this kind of carving of the spiral here, speaking to kind of this round and round, this cycle, a cycle of fear, a cycle of, kind of being very intimidated, very hopeless in this situation. Maybe patterns of kind of self-sabotage that are still, this person's starting to become aware of that. They're starting to almost feel their way through that. But it's something where the reminders of that, this knowledge of self that they've come to as far as how they've treated you in the past, their tendency in connections in general, how that has interfered in this situation, and how it might yet again kind of present itself, that it's keeping them at bay in this situation. Despite their longing, despite this desire, despite this realization, it almost feels that it's their fate to just kind of watch from afar at this point in time. their intuition in some way, it feels like, in addition to kind of being this sort of passive energy, there's some kind of an intuitive knowing, some kind of a nudge, something from within kind of the shadow aspect of this person that is that gatekeeper in order to, look at, to not even necessarily bypass, but to fully kind of incorporate into the fabric of who they are, that this person is needing to really own and accept who they have been in the past, the choices that they have made, the mistakes that were made. By owning these things, all the layers fully, and by understanding these things, seeing things from a new perspective, that all of these mistakes of the past are kind of that rock bottom. It's that foundation upon which different choices and decisions can be made. That is the turning away. But they are still very focused on kind of these old tendencies, these memories, this energy of heartbreak here. Maybe even kind of third parties that were involved in this situation could still be a factor here. And so again, that intuition, encouraging them to kind of stay distant, to not come forward to you until they are able to come open-handed, open-armed, until they kind of take themselves out of this entanglement, until they, discontinue another situation or heal something in terms of the residue left within their heart by previous partnerships, maybe a current kind of other connection that they are in, something that might be very kind of cyclical as well, something that may be very karmic in nature. There's a lot of strife, there's a lot of darkness in that situation, that until this person frees themselves from that, it almost feels that from the higher self or the intuitive level, that they are being guided at this point in time, to just kind of stand from afar, to observe, to really take things in. They're still in this period of introspection, but again, focusing so heavily upon this truth, this realization, these feelings, and kind of what was sacrificed in this situation. This is not somebody who has moved forward and it's just out of sight, out of mind. This is weighing heavily upon them. They can't help but look. They can't help but be reminded. It's bringing up almost with this wounded warrior the idea of like somebody with PTSD, like these flashbacks that they are having. They can't escape this memory of how I'm hearing how they bumbled up this connection. So again, this gift that the universe provided to them, that they are now really seeing with fresh eyes, and yet they're very cognizant of kind of their role in complicating matters, in maybe leading you on in the past, making you feel like an option, choosing the wrong option in this circumstance, over-promising and under-delivering, being a little bit kind of emotionally guarded, emotionally reserved, or a lot of self-blame that's taking place at this point for not having dealt with these cycles within themselves, this cycle of self-sabotage, this tendency within them to almost lean deeply into miracles in their life in a variety of ways, to be on the precipice of actualizing these things, and then to just thwart them, something within them like a lack mentality, a feeling of, all these kind of blessings and situations that have showed up, whether it's romantic opportunities as far as career, just other sort of opportunities for change and growth. This feels to be a long-standing pattern of this person, of kind of getting in their own way. No one to really blame here but themselves, but they may still be kind of outwardly projecting, blaming the fates, blaming the universe, blaming their family, blaming, people who have wronged them in the past. It's still a very defensive energy, a lot of these battles that they're fighting within themselves. So it almost feels that at this point in time, there's a bit of emptiness is what they would have to offer to you. So it feels like it really might be for the best that they kind of remain distant until they learn these lessons, until they kind of free themselves. It's the idea of this guy here could just kind of lean up and untie his foot at any time. He could free himself at any time. And it's, this kind of notion, this unspoken notion that he's just holding his hands back there. He's got the power in his hands to remove himself or to change these circumstances anytime he wants. And the choice is being made to just almost stay in a condition or an environment that is not suited to him, whether that's a connection, whether that's a mindset, whether that is in this place of just remaining deliberately kind of guarded or blocked off, or holding and owning that identity of being very wounded, being this kind of, in this process of healing, feeling very much that kind of the fate in the universe is against him, that he's got bad luck in love, he's unsuccessful in love, just any and all of these narratives really contributing to this idea of, again, kind of fetishizing, pedestalizing this connection, just kind of watching from afar with this sense of yearning and longing, which may manifest in this telepathy and dreams and tugging at you energetically, but not necessarily being at the point yet of creating substantial forward momentum. He's still kind of stuck. So this could be a divine masculine, he or she, somebody who is still kind of stuck off in the weeds in some way, kind of lost in the woods in all of this, operating in this very almost wounded masculine energy here, not wanting to, fully step into this place of strength as vulnerability, but almost feeling, that they must kind of keep their armor on. They must kind of battle and resist, facing fully these cycles or these tendencies or what has contributed within themselves to kind of the situation the two of you are in now, or that they are in their life in general. Being very defensive to that understanding that they have the power to change their circumstances at any time, being very resistant at this point in time to facing that what has happened in the past can really be used as that rock bottom, that foundation, that groundwork to build in a new and better direction going forward. So I'm going to get a few messages from this person's higher self and see what do they want to tell you right now. Okay, and they say, I remember you. So this reinforces that idea of this is not out of sight, out of mind. You have made quite an impression upon this person. They are thinking back on the past between the two of you. They may even be getting almost these flashes or these memories of a past life connection, a sense of we have been here before, we have done this before. That can tie into this element as well of a lot of self-blame in a way that they can't even logically explain. It's this feeling of that they have sabotaged this connection maybe across many lifetimes. The two of you keep interacting with one another in the hopes, or maybe even keep crossing paths with one another in this lifetime in the hopes that someday different choices will be made in some way. A cycle can be broken and that kind of a new horizon can be navigated toward. But at this point in time, they're still just in that energy of nostalgia, memory, a lot of bittersweet memories, and also really focusing a lot on kind of the good times that you shared, but almost drawing that out into more of this realm of fantasy and kind of what could have been, what should have been had they made different choices in the past. And they also say, my love for you is without bound. So that can tie in again to that idea of like a past life connection, something that exceeds logic and definition. No matter what other roads they have traveled, other relationships they have been, no matter how far they have strayed or wandered, they still feel very connected to you. They still feel very bound to you, and still feel very drawn or compelled back in your direction. They also say, I find everything about you so pleasurable and irresistible. So this is that Two of Cups and that Ten of Pentacles energy, this idea of you are the perfect package in so many ways in which they may have overlooked or undervalued, or again, because of kind of tendencies or shadows within themselves, they weren't fully capable of appreciating that, of participating with you at kind of an equitable level. But it really feels to be a message also from their higher self that no matter what they had said or done in the past in this situation, that it was by no means a measure of your value or worth, your lovability, or kind of how attracted or drawn they were to you. This is really all kind of evidence of these tendencies, these core wounds and shadows within themselves that have not been healed. They have not been tended. They're still being avoided or deflected in some way through blame and avoidance. And kind of what you experienced was the manifestation of that, the ugly side of the unhealed shadow coming forth to kind of influence and sort of sway the experiences in a material sense. And they also say, everything will be all right. Please trust me. So from the higher self level, this is this idea that ties in with the Nine of Wands, this wounded warrior. This is a card that speaks to battle. Although this individual is in the energy of resistance and almost complacency at this point in time, it almost feels that their higher self, spirit, their ancestors, the universe is not done with this person. The more they resist, the more intense this draw, this pull, these kind of cycles and core wounds are going to be brought to their attention until something shifts and changes. This may take a while for any kind of measurable change to occur. They may have a self-fulfilling prophecy of needing to just watch from afar while you completely slip through their fingers, and somebody else recognizes and makes good on the blessing that you are, and that the universe then provides them to in the form of you and a love connection. But it is something where it feels like it's just a grain of hope, a glimmer of hope, that they will be able to transcend this cycle. And I'm hearing, if not in this lifetime, in another lifetime. And they also say, I don't deserve you at all. So a bit of that lack mentality that can really be one of those core issues within themselves that kind of led to this conduct in the past, feeling unworthy and therefore sabotaging all indicators of the opposite, sabotaging the blessing, sabotaging the harmony, trying to almost project that core wound upon you instead of dealing with their own kind of sense of deficiency within. And they also say, I hope you don't find out that I've been watching your social media. So this is that energy of kind of hiding behind that stone and sort of peeking out, lurking from the shadows, watching from afar. You're definitely weighing on their mind very heavily. And if those of you that have social media, even if it seems that this person has blocked you on their main account, maybe you are the one who has blocked them, or there's no contact between the two of you as far as you're aware. They are not watching you. They're unaware of your presence. Maybe you have just started a social media account. Maybe you closed a social media account and you've opened a different one. For a lot of you, in some way, this person, either through the universe, through an algorithm, has found you again in kind of this people you may know recommendation, maybe mutual friends, or in some way there's have let them know kind of what you're up to at this point in time, and so they've looked, they're watching, they're observing, or this can even tie into this idea of kind of that element almost of sneakiness, operating kind of in the shadows. So maybe a fake account, or just a lot of deep Googling that they have done to try and just kind of indulge in this element of the fantasy and kind of that pedestalizing of you, what they are seeing of you, even just as they're feeling in energetically. If you don't have social media and this is all just in kind of an etheric sense, that it's this yearning, it's this draw towards you, it's this deep kind of recognition and appreciation for what they had in the past and what has now been sabotaged or squandered, what is now gone. And it almost feels like somebody that is a form of self-punishment. They make themselves look. They can't help but look. There's a part of them that won't let them shut their eyes completely to what they had, to what potential existed in the past, to what could have been and is now to some degree gone. So I'm going to get some guidance from Spirit now about the situation. Okay, and we have renew. Nature continuously renews itself year after year. So this is a timeless reading. Whenever you find these messages and they resonate, please take them as applicable. But at the time I'm recording this, January 18th, 2023, we have obviously just entered into the new year, 2023. This reference to year can also tie into the Lunar New Year in the Chinese zodiac will be going into the sign of the rabbit, which is a sign of luck. It is, indicators of kind of a fertile energy, an energy of fecundity, and that actually, I believe that's on the 22nd. That might be the Sunday when Lunar New Year happens. So that's coming up pretty quickly. So real time in this energy, this feels like this recommendation to continue to move forward, to use these energies, this energy of the fresh start, the energy of a new kind of lunar new year, the energy of a new year according to the Gregorian calendar. Use this to kind of lead by example in this situation, if for nothing else than for yourself. Now can be that perfect time to, take a different road from what this person has done. Rather than kind of dwell and focus and fixate and kind of fetishize the situation and focus on what could have been, what should have been, rather than being tied or bound to any kind of disappointment, anger or kind of sorrow over their actions or inactions, their choice to just watch, but not kind of do this work within, not handle their situation within in order to be able to present something different outside. That now is really that opportunity for you to take the steps necessary to pivot your life and your attention and your focus in another direction. In doing that, it can definitely be that kind of shakeup that is necessary. That can quite possibly trigger this person to start doing that work within themselves. But first and foremost, when you detach, when you direct your focus elsewhere, you open up to receiving other blessings that the universe has in store for you. If this individual was unable to appreciate your worth and value when they had the opportunity, they are not kind of the sole voice. They are not the sole kind of experience that you will have. If they are unable or unwilling to kind of get with the program as far as breaking through their own patterns, kind of working through some habits or behaviors, detaching from third-party situations, including, romantic partnerships, belief systems, mindsets, tendencies, addictions, negative thinking, anything that kind of counts as that sort of wedge, that unaddressed kind of toxic, shadowy energy. You have the choice to detach from that. You have the choice to heal from that. And the universe will reward you in kind. There is a love that is out there that is meant for you. You are meant to experience deep, healthy, and reciprocal partnership with another physical person in this lifetime. You're not meant to dwell in forever in kind of this realm of just this deep kind of tragic romance with this person on a romantic level. So maybe this is the year where you make that decision to really cut those cords once and for all, to redirect that focus, to truly give this person the time and space that they need to make changes or to choose to remain the same. This might be the year that you make that decision to invest more in yourself, more kind of thinking outside of the box in terms of the healing that is required in this situation. Instead of focusing on what didn't work, directing your attention toward what you want to bring in, what you want to manifest, ways in which you can actively become that love in which you are seeking. All of this can really be the shakeup that is necessary, regardless of what the future may hold for you and this person in this lifetime. You have the opportunity here to, at any time, kind of free yourself from these bindings, as we see with the Hanged Man here, to change your kind of approach, your view to this circumstance, the stance you are holding in this situation. There are many different roads and doors that will open to you if you just take that first step forward. Direct the focus somewhere else. Put a little less energy and attention into this, into that wide range of emotions. Pour some of that back into yourself, into your healing, and toward building your self-esteem and that certainty of your worth, that regardless of anybody else's ability to appreciate that and reciprocate that, it does not in any way diminish from the innate quality of the love you hold inside and are capable of giving, and that you are very deserving of receiving a reciprocal love in kind. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got G, N, B, Z, J, and S. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I've also also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that, as well as in the featured channel section of my page. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick a card readings as well as general energy check-ins, and the topics that I cover are related to spirituality, ascension, wellness, and self-love. So if that sounds like anything that you are interested in, I invite you to check out that channel, and I thank you in advance for helping that channel to grow, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.